Marriage sucks. Yes, I said it, and I said what a lot of people are thinking. Maybe you think that, and maybe not about your own marriage, but maybe about somebody's marriage, or marriage in general. Hi, I'm Annmarie Kelly, and I'm an author, speaker, victory strategist, and I'm the woman who found the better way to do I do. And now I'm inviting you to join me in this new adventure to find that better way to do I do. I'd like you to think about the season that we're in. We're in wedding season. And we're watching all these lovely brides and grooms walk down the aisle to start their new life together. I like the whole getting married part, don't you? That people they're hugging, they're kissing, and they like all the attention, and they're getting all the love, and they're getting all the gifts. Everybody likes all that. But here's the rub. Once they get married, they have to be married. And what I notice is that after the wedding and after the honeymoon and after they start settling down into the real life of marriage, and they're being married, some of that lust gets a little chillier. And then they say, I don't know about this marriage thing. I didn't think it was going to be like this. And then they get a little bit later and say, yeah, this marriage thing sucks. I'm telling the truth. You think about it. How many of your friends are divorced or getting divorced? Or how many do you think should be divorced? You see the way that they talk to each other or the way they treat each other. And you wonder, why are you even together? And think about how many of today's brides and grooms who are walking down the aisle this weekend will be around to celebrate their 10th anniversary. Only about half of them. Did you know that not only do 48% of first marriages end in divorce, but 60% of second marriages, 75% of third marriages? Let me tell you, there are 5 big complaints in marriage. It's children, sex, money, responsibilities, and lack of appreciation. Guess what? Those are not new with this generation. They have been around for several generations. And you would think, if they've been around for that long, people would have started thinking, if those are the common problems, and yes, I know there are other problems like maybe addiction or adulterers, but the big problems are those 5. They're the big 5. So is marriage obsolete? Does it not work at all? Yes, traditional marriage is totally obsolete because in today's world, things are moving so fast. We have a 24/7 news cycle. You never know what things are going to hit the fan. We have a social media where you're always looking to see what's trending now. Did you ever think about the anxiety that is caused by all of that fear of missing out? FOMO is a big problem for today's couples. Today's couples have greater challenges, I think, than any couple before. So what do you do if it's obsolete? Then what do you do? Do you remember back in the olden days when if you traveled, you got a hotel room or a motel room? Today, there's Airbnb. Airbnb changed how we travel. In the olden days, you would hail a taxi or call a taxi, and if you called a taxi, you had to wait a long time. And now there's Uber. Uber has made life so much easier for those of us traveling around town. And then there's Amazon. There used to be a time when you only went to a bookstore to get a book. Now you buy books and everything else on Amazon. Those 3 big disruptors changed the way we do life, and they improved it for the better. And now there's the 5-year marriage. You can sort of think of the 5-year marriage as being like the Amazon of marriage. It's the big disruptor. The 5-year marriage, well, people have said this to me. Well, what do you mean a 5-year marriage? That's kind of crazy. You mean you only get married for 5 years and then what? Well, the answer is yes, you only get married for 5 years. But you don't do it in like a haphazard, I'm still thinking about who's going to do the music at my wedding and what color are the napkins kind of a way. You don't focus when you're doing a 5-year marriage on getting married. You focus on the being married part. So before you enter into a 5-year marriage, you take a long time to figure out what it is that you want to do and who you are going to be in that marriage. In a 5-year marriage, you enter into it with a set of agreements, sort of a contract. People always talk about the marriage contract, but nobody ever has a contract. In the 5-year marriage, you create a contract. And then you decide how you're going to do that 5 years, and you meet periodically. And you look at the contract and the things that are in the contract and see how you're progressing. At the end of that 5 years, you can go back and reevaluate. And how I always suggest that you do it is you say, what went right? What didn't go so right? Where do you want to go in the next 5 years? And do we still want to go together? Now, presuming that you still want to go together, then you would say, how I say it is you spiritually end that marriage. And then you start a new one. A lot of couples like that because it's like getting a fresh start. Personally, I have been married 7 times. Each time has been to the same man. Each marriage has lasted for just 5 years. And each marriage has been totally different. And it's totally different because you keep changing. You can't expect, that couple that's walking down the aisle now at 25 or 30 years old, 5 years from now when they're 30 and 35 years old, so much is going to happen in their lives that they really can't continue to live with the same agreements that they made on their wedding day. It's just not reasonable. So you spiritually end your marriage and you start another one at the end of 5 years. I want to share with you the big benefits of the 5-year marriage that a lot of people don't often consider. For example, the 5-year marriage is empowering to both parties. It's empowering because you don't feel stuck. Like this is my lot in life. I picked this person, I'm stuck. And I'm doing these things, and I guess it's never going to change, and I'm stuck. Or he's moving in another direction, or she's moving in another direction, and now where am I? Stuck. The 5-year marriage enables you to empower yourself in the relationship because you can renegotiate your agreements. If you started out in one phase over 5 years, but at the end of 5 years you find yourself moving in a different direction, then the two of you sit down and talk about that. The empowering part of not being stuck was a big one for me. It is probably one of the biggest reasons why I thought up the 5-year marriage, because I had seen too many of my girlfriends being stuck. They used to be a lot of fun, and then they became wives, and then they weren't fun anymore. I didn't want to see that in my relationship, and I didn't want to see that in the relationship with my spouse. 5-year marriage gives you clarity because you know the direction that you're going. And while at the end of 5 years you can shift that direction, for 5 years you're focused on moving in that direction, and that direction might be we want to buy a house and then we're going to have kids. Or it might be we're going to put off having kids because we both want to focus on our careers. Could be a lot of things. And yes, a lot of things can happen to change things, and that's always going to happen. That's life. But if you start on a direction and you're on a path, then at least you have some place, if you're pulled this way or pulled this way, you know how to go back because you're on a path. So those are the benefits of the 5-year marriage. Some of the things people want to know, they'll ask me, so what you do is you renew your vows. No, we do not renew our vows, because whatever vows we had 5 years ago, most of them will not be the same now. Okay, and we might say that we still promise to love each other and cherish each other and those kinds of vows, but that's it. But there's other things that you make promises about. A vow's a promise, so there's other things. So no, you don't renew any vows. That's the 5-year marriage. That gives you the basic concept. In other shows, we're going to be talking about how you put it together, the kind of partner that you want to have, the kind of partner you want to walk away from, and how you make some of those agreements. And I hope you'll tune in for that. For right now, you can learn more on my website at 5yearmarriage.com. You can get the book on Amazon. Remember, we're the Amazon of marriage. You can get the book on Amazon. It's called 5-Year Marriage, Shifting the Marriage Paradigm. And I look forward to talking with you again another time. Thanks for joining me on Not Your Mother's Marriage. Jen's on.